Hello, everyone. My name is John, and I am from the Communications Office of the University of Groningen. I'd like to welcome you all this evening. It's a good afternoon here in Groningen, and I hope you're having a nice evening over there in Taiwan. So we have a few different speakers today, and we'll introduce you, and then also after that, after we've all spoken, there'll be an opportunity for you all to ask any questions that you might have. So firstly, we have a brief, more general presentation by me. So I'll talk a bit generally about the university, about the Netherlands, and about the kind of thing we have to offer to students coming from Taiwan. Then I'll pass over to my colleague Marijn Hendriks. She is from the Faculty of Economics and Business, and she can zoom in on one of our faculties, so you can have a bit more detail on the kind of things on offer from one of our faculties. We have a total of 11 faculties, so there's a lot more on offer. Here with us today, and she can tell you a bit about her experience of coming to the Netherlands to study from Taiwan, about the kind of thing she's studying, and about her experiences and so on. So yeah, we'll go straight into it. I'll just talk about what I'll cover in my presentation. So I'm going to give you really the basics, like a kind of a crash course. So where are we in the world, but also where is our university in the Netherlands? What kind of thing do we have to offer? How you make your application and the things you have to think about, like costs and entry requirements and that kind of thing. I'll also talk, I have a couple of slides which is a bit more some tips, some of the most important things to know, the kind of headlines to know if you're coming to us from Taiwan. There will be time for questions, but not at the end of my presentation. We'll do that at the end of all three of our presentations, but we shouldn't take too long, I think. So yeah, we'll go straight into it. From Amsterdam. Amsterdam. Oh, hello? Hello? Shall I continue? Sorry, I couldn't hear. I could hear somebody. Okay, sorry, yeah. So yeah, Amsterdam is about approximately a 13-hour flight from Taiwan, and yeah, most international students arrive to Amsterdam, and then pretty much most of the country is reachable within 1 or 2 hours if you're a bit further from the main cities. So our university is about 2 hours away. There's a really good public transport system, so you can explore all of the country very easily and cheaply. But also, as you can see from the map, you've got the whole of Europe is on your doorstep, really. So from our city, it's about 30 minutes or so to the German border. To the south, you have Brussels, Luxembourg, and France. To the north, of course, you have Scandinavia, Denmark, and Sweden, and so on. But also to the west, you have the UK and Ireland, and you can actually take a train from Amsterdam that will take you to London in about 4 hours. So you can even go by train very easily. So yeah, it's a good place from which you can explore the rest of Europe. But about the education system in particular, why would you come and study in the Netherlands? Well, not many people know, but we do have a really high quality, world-class education system. And also we teach a lot in English. So yeah, most academic subjects you can study in the Netherlands. It's also a really unique environment. If you go to study in the UK or the USA or Australia, these are all English-speaking countries. Of course, the Netherlands we have the local language Dutch, but pretty much most Dutch people are really good linguists. So they speak usually English, but also also a lot of support. So I think it's good value for money. More detail about our university. Well, we're a research university founded in 1614. So we're over 400 years old, one of the oldest universities in the country. Also one of the largest, with over 36,000 students, and one of the most international, with around 25% and growing of international students. One of the most, I'd say the two most important things about our university, firstly is our location, as I showed you, up in the north of the country. But secondly, the big thing that's differentiates us is that we have the widest range of options for you to study in English. So there's more than 150 different degree programs in 11 different faculties, and that's pretty much the widest range of different options that you'll find at a you can rest assured that we are a well-ranked university internationally. We also have 10 top-rated bachelor programs. That's a ranking within the Netherlands, and one of them is the best, considered the best bachelor program in the Netherlands. So yeah, you can be pretty confident that if you make a choice for our university, that you're making a good, solid choice. I want to move on just quickly to talk, just to give you an overview of the most important practical things to know. To talk about, firstly, costs. Tuition ranges, depending on what you're studying, from around around 10,000 euros per year for more arts-related, arts and humanities subjects, up to just under 20,000 euros per year for the more advanced kind of science, engineering type subjects. So yeah, if you're, depending on what you're interested in, I'd recommend taking a look at the precise cost. We then recommend that, yeah, a good budget of around 11,000 euros per year for your living costs. That's an average. Many students will find that they'll spend less, and I'll give you a bit of an idea about how you can lower your costs. The one important thing to know is that we don't really have any significant scholarships at our university. So yeah, you'll have to really be kind of realistic that the costs that you see there, the approximate costs that you see, are pretty much what you'll need to be ready to spend on your studies with us. Yeah, the main tip for keeping your costs low is firstly to ensure that you find an inexpensive place to live. And I can come on to that in a bit more detail if people want to know more during the Q&A. But rent is by far going to be the biggest part of your living cost. So finding a cheap place to live will really keep your costs down overall. Quickly on how to apply. The basic application is in 2 stages. The first stage through StudyLink, which is a centralized application system for the whole country. So it's also what you can apply to other Dutch universities with. You get 4 choices. And then the second stage of the application is finished with the universities that you've applied to. It's a really important thing to know the distinction between selective and non-selective programs. So most other universities in the world will have only selective programs, so they select students for everything. In Dutch universities, they're actually in the minority. So 80% of our courses are not selective. That means that if you're interested in studying and you have the right academic background, so if you've studied the right subjects and if you've studied them up to the right level, then you'll be automatically admitted to those programs. A small number, I can't remember the exact number now, but it's around 8 of our programs are selective. So they have an earlier deadline, and it's a more traditional approach to what you'd see in other countries like in the USA or the UK or Australia or probably in Taiwan also, where you are selected on the quality of your application and the best students get in. I've just got a quick overview of all of our bachelor programs. We have, I think, around just under 40 bachelor programs. We have way more than 100 master programs, so I couldn't list all of those, but hopefully you'll get an idea of the range of options. Each of these bachelor programs leads on to, a number of different master's options that are a bit more specialized. So hopefully this gives you an idea. So firstly, you can see the arts programs. In that faculty, you have the International Relations program, which is selective with 260 places. Then you have psychology with 600 places. In the economics and business faculty, Marijn will talk to you in just a moment about their options, but you have there the International Business program, which is selective. Then you have a big range of options in science and engineering with 4 main programs there, which are selective. You have artificial intelligence, biology, biomedical engineering, and computing science. And then you have a range of smaller faculties. So for example, law, philosophy, spatial sciences, medicine. We have a medicine program, which some of the places there are taught in English. But yeah, in order to become a full doctor in the Netherlands, you need to learn Dutch. So that's a good thing to know if you want to do that. So yeah, hopefully that's all of our 11 faculties bachelor programs, and hopefully that gives you an idea of the range of options that you have at our university. Just quickly on entry requirements. So if you want to do a bachelor program, unfortunately, we don't currently accept Taiwanese high school. So you'll need to have something in addition to that, or for example, be going to an international school. And I've listed there the international school requirements. If you want to do a master program with us, the easiest, we're quite vague with the entry requirements. Basically, we need to look at what you've studied in your bachelor and decide whether or not it's a relevant bachelor degree. But basically, you need something closely related. It's more difficult in the Netherlands. It's not impossible, but it's more difficult to switch to a different academic subject when you move up to master level. Okay, so some more tips and tricks and things to look out for. As I already mentioned, most courses are not selective. So you'll effectively receive automatic admission if you've got the basic requirements. So hopefully that's something that makes it a bit easier actually. Another thing is that we have a really long window in which you can apply. You can apply for many of our courses right up until the 1st of May. But the whole process takes quite a long time. You usually have to wait around 2 months to have an answer on your application. And then there's a lot of other things that come after that that you need to do as well. So we always recommend applying around this time of year and not leaving it much later. Their own housing. So housing in some Dutch cities can be a big problem, and Groningen, our city, is one of those. So applying early for your course allows you then to be through the process, and you can focus then your efforts on finding a place to live. How is it different to studying in other places? Well, one of the first things I think that international students would say is that it's really intense. So you get a lot of work and you need to kind of quite steadily work through it all the way throughout the year. It's also very normal and accepted part of academic life here in the Netherlands to fail classes. Even really top students will occasionally fail classes, and that's fine. If you're on a bachelor course, then you really need to pass at least 3/4 of your first year. So that's really kind of where the selection process starts. You have to kind of prove yourself during your first year. Another thing is that as part of the kind of intensity side of things, there's quite regular assessments. So we have 4 exam periods in the year. Many universities might have just 2, one at halfway through the year and one at the end of the year, whereas we have them every quarter. That might sound really daunting, but a good side of that, I think, is that everything is a bit more bite-sized. And by the time you come to the end of the year, 3/4 of your year is already examined. Another thing is that I think our lecturers are mostly really attentive. They really care about how you're doing. They try their best to offer you advice on how to improve, and give you extra classes and that kind of thing. There's also lots of classes that you can do on more general things like study skills and that kind of stuff. One important thing, especially from students coming from Asian countries, is that there's a lot of emphasis on classroom participation. So learning is very interactive. It's not just sitting down in class and listening, it's also questioning, discussing, forming opinions, and that kind of thing, which can be a bit of a culture shock, I think, when students first arrive. And another thing, of course, is living in the Netherlands is a very unique experience. So Dutch life in some Dutch cities, very popular student cities such as ours, it can be very difficult to find a place to live. So if you're really serious about coming to the Netherlands, apply early and be aware of what the housing landscape is in the city that you want to study in. Right, I'm at the end of my part of the presentation now. I am just going to give you a quick overview of the city. So yeah, you can see there, that's a Google map of the city of Groningen. And at the bottom, you have the city center. So that's where we have the Faculty of Arts, Behavioral and Social Sciences, Law, Philosophy, Theology, and the University College. Then just at the edge of the center, you have the Faculty of Medical Sciences. And up on just over the edge of the map there, you can see the Zerniker Campus, which is the second kind of main location of the university. It's a bit more like familiar as a university campus. And that's where we have the Faculty of Economics and Business, the Faculty of Science and Engineering, and the Faculty of Spatial Science. And just the main thing to mention here really is that although you can see that that's quite a distance on the map, that's only a distance of around 10 or 15 minutes, either by public transport or cycling. So it's a really livable city. It's really easy to get from the different locations of the university, and also to wherever you'll be living in the city will be within a short distance. We also have a campus in a nearby city about 30 minutes away. That's an even smaller city, so it's really walkable and easy to get around. It's just a 5 or 10 minute walk from the main train station. So I think that was the end of my first part. I'll stop sharing my screen now and I'll hand over to my colleague, Marijn. Marijn, would you like to take over and give a bit more information about the Faculty of Economics and Business?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much for introducing me. You can hear me right? And you can see also my presentation?
Yeah, we can, sorry, yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot. Yeah, so John already briefly introduced me. I'm an international officer at the Faculty of Economics and Business, and I will give you a brief introduction of the Business School of the University of Groningen and what it's like to study there. So the Faculty of Economics and Business is one of the 11 faculties of the University of Groningen. We are actually the biggest one. We have over 7,300 students currently, and 1,800 of them are international or non-Dutch students. We also value very much career services, career preparations. We really want to bridge the gap between education and the labor market for students. So yeah, students who study at the Faculty of Economics and Business can really count on dedicated career services. And I will also elaborate on that a bit later in my presentation. John already mentioned the university rankings, the global rankings. Maybe it's also nice to know that each of these global rankings also assess universities on some specific academic disciplines. And yeah, I thought it's also maybe nice to share, to see where our business school is in the discipline of business and economics. So yeah, here are the three biggest global rankings, of course. And I also thought it's maybe nice for you also to add the NTU ranking for this occasion. Yeah, we have 3 bachelor programs taught in English and 1 in Dutch. I didn't include that one. But we have the international business program, which is selective and has in total 550 places because it's quite a popular program. So in order to make sure that we can offer the best quality and accommodate all students, we needed to set a limited amount of places. We have the economics and business economics program and the econometrics program. So if you, for example, really like economics, but you also really like mathematics, then definitely the econometrics program is maybe the right fit for you. All our bachelor programs take 3 years. The first 2 years, you take more course-specific subjects. And in the 3rd year, you can choose either to do an exchange or doing a minor at one of our other faculties or even at other university in the Netherlands. And for very dedicated and talented students, we also offer an honors program. So that's basically an extra program which is embedded in your bachelor program. Then we have quite a wide range of master courses. In total, we have 13. They're all 1 year programs, except the last one, the research master. That one is 2 years. If you're really aiming a research career, or maybe you want to pursue a PhD, then the research master is maybe an interesting program for you. All the other programs taking 1 year. Well, as you can see, for example, for the business administration master and in the marketing master, there are also profiles mentioned. So basically, you choose the master program, and then from the beginning, you also choose one of the profiles where you want to specialize in. For the admissions of the masters, John also mentioned like the general admission requirements. For the bachelors, sorry, I forgot to tell that. But for the bachelors, you need a high school diploma, which is an equivalent of the Dutch VWO, but also an equivalent to for example, the IB program. And for our programs, you need mathematics included in your high school profile. For the masters, the admissions is a bit more, it depends a bit on your bachelor program. We always say you need a bachelor program in a related field, which basically means you need a bachelor degree in business, economics, or management. However, the admissions office always goes to your full profile of your program, of your bachelor program. So they will look into all of the subjects and see if this is sufficiently matching to the master program you want to apply for. If this is the case, you will get direct admissions to the master program. If this is not the case, then we have the possibility to do a pre-master. I will also elaborate on that a bit in a minute. But a pre-master is basically a 1 year program which prepares you for the master and gives you direct access to the master. And also for the admissions of the masters, you need, of course, an English certificate, TOEFL, IELTS, or Cambridge we accept, and you need a GMAT. A GMAT score of at least 500 is required. A GRE is also accepted. And for with a score of 600 and more, and the right bachelor profile, you can be directly admitted to the master program. But there is also a little catch. We have many exchange partners in Taiwan. So maybe you're studying at one of these universities and you did your bachelor's here, then you will be exempted from the GMAT requirement. So if you're coming from one of these universities, which are our partners, or maybe you did already an exchange at our university, then you will be exempted from the GMAT requirements. So for our master programs, we also have, well, several extra options, basically. If you are interested in gaining practical experience during your master's, so you not only want to focus on theory, but also a bit more bringing it in practice, then you can choose for a master internship. This is possible for all our master's programs. It's important to say that you will delay your program, your one-year program, with one extra semester because of the internship is not embedded in the program. However, of course, you will get to know company and already work in a company and broaden your network. This extra semester for the master internship, during this extra semester, you will pay the EU tuition fees. So the tuition fees will be much lower than the tuition fees for the actual master program. So the EU tuition fees for one semester are about 1,000 euros. So you basically add on an extra 1,000 euro in your total tuition fee costs. Maybe you're also interested in one of the double degrees. A double degree is basically you obtain 2 master degrees at 2 different top business schools around the world within 1.5 or 2 years. So it depends a bit. We have for almost all our master programs double degree options. So it depends on the master program you choose what kind of double degree options you have. But we have collaborations with universities, business schools in Germany, Sweden, but also in South America, in China. So they're really around the world. And I think it's a great opportunity to obtain 2 master degrees from 2 different universities only in 1.5 or 2 years. If you do not want to expand your program, you just want to take a 1-year program and finish your master's, then we also offer specializations in digital business, energy, finance and development, and sustainable society. We call them focus areas. So basically you will take 2 course subjects which are focusing on one of these topics, and you will write your thesis about the same topic. So then you have an extra specialization embedded in your master program. And at the end of your program, you will get an extra notification on your diploma that you have specialized in one of these topics. I already mentioned briefly the pre-master programs. So if you do not, do not have direct admission to the master program, or maybe you're coming, your bachelor is in a complete different field. Maybe you're coming from an art bachelor, but you do want to switch your major to economics and business, then the pre-master option, might be a nice hub to go into the master programs in economics and business. It's also important to mention you cannot apply for the pre-master as such, so you always need to apply for the master program. In the case you will not meet the admission requirements, the admissions office will probably give you the opportunity to apply for the pre-master program. It also has a different fee structure. So for the pre-master program, EU and non-EU students pay all the same tuition fees, the EU tuition fees. So the fee structure is different for the pre-master program than for the actual master program. After the pre-master, you have direct access to the master program. Now, I already mentioned this quickly in the beginning of the presentation, but at FAB, we really find it important to prepare our students for the labor market. So we have, as only faculty in the University of Groningen, our in-house career services. Throughout the year, all kinds of activities, workshops, sessions, events are being offered to students in order to prepare you for the labor market. This is, of course, all optional, so you can participate in whatever you want. But if you're not interested in this, it's fully optional to participate in this type of events. But we have 2 career coaches, which can help you with personal career advice. We have a yearly careers week, which is basically the biggest careers event in our faculty. We have also sometimes company dating days, and companies are coming to our faculty, and you can speed date with companies. We offer business challenges, so companies bring in their business cases, and you're going to work with other students on this business cases. So these type of activities you can think about. Then we also have the faculty's study associations. We have one overarching study association, but also course-specific study associations. And they also organize a lot of activities, which are related to preparing you for the labor market, but also have a social component. So there's actually a lot. The past 2 years, of course, were a bit different. We're not that many events, but yeah, we're slowly, hopefully, going back to normal. We can also continue with these type of events, which I think are really valuable during your studies. Yeah, to give you an idea of where our graduates ending up after graduation, we are surveying every year our graduates and ask them these questions: how long it took them to find a job, what their average starting salary is, how their work week looks like, but also what kind of jobs they're working in and what kind of fields. So this maybe gives you an indication. Of course, it differs a bit every year because we're serving every year the last freshly graduates. But this may give you an idea of what your studies at the Faculty of Economics and Business can lead to. Then I'm already at my last slide. So if you are interested in studying at our business school, or you do want to know more, we are quite active on our Instagram account. You can have a look there and you can see what the building looks like from the inside, but also the students, the staff, what kind of topics are important in our faculty. The University of Groningen also has a central account, but I think that really gives you an idea of what student life looks like in Groningen, and also how it looks at our faculty. But all other faculties also have their faculty accounts. If you do have any specific questions for us, you can always email us at perspectives.fab@rug.nl. And we try to answer your questions always within 72 hours. Thank you very much for listening. I will give the floor to the last speaker, Yu-Tzu. Actually, she is a student at the Faculty of Economics and Business, studying marketing.
Yes.
But I think, you can tell more about that.
Yeah, let me share my screen now. Can you guys see my slides?
Yeah, we've got it. Yeah, we can.
Okay,
thanks.
Great. Give me a second. Yeah, thank you guys. The introductions are very detailed. And for my part, I like to share my own experience from a student's perspective. And of course, for this part, I'm gonna do it in Mandarin, so it's easier. 所以 嗨，大家好，我叫做郑佑慈，然后我现在就从一个台湾学生的角度去分享一下我这几年在 University of Groningen 念书的一些心得。那先稍微自我介绍一下，我其实在2019年的时候就来 Groningen 交换，但是是在另外一间学校，就是汉斯应用科技大学。那就非常喜欢这个城市，所以就决定回来念硕士。那在去年的时候，我是拿到 Pre-Master 的 offer， 然后今年9月才正式开始我的硕士课程。那在3月的时候，我会做一个实习，所以预计就是在2023的春天的时候会毕业。那这就是今天我大概会 cover 到的一些主题。首先我会先稍微介绍一下荷兰这个国家跟一些文化差异的部分，然后接下来我会比较 detail 的来介绍格罗宁根大学跟我一些上课的心得。那最后也会讲一下在课堂之外的一些课外活动跟实习的方面，最后也会留一些时间让大家问问题。首先是为什么我选择来荷兰。第一个是我刚刚讲过，我交换的时候非常喜欢，那它有很多优点，其中我想要特别highlight 的几点就是我觉得他们对外国人的人才的包容力非常的高。 他们甚至就是你在这边硕士毕业以后，他们会有1年的 orientation year， 就是给你一个1年的 searcher visa， 在你硕士毕业以后是有1年的时间可以在这边找工作的。所以我觉得对于你如果是之后想要在欧洲工作的人来说，这边环境是相对友善的。那再来就是它1年制，然后学费也比较便宜。那另外一点很重要，就是我觉得他们的文化差异跟亚洲文化差异非常的吸引人，就是这边的人非常的直接，然后跟我们所熟悉的沟通方式比较不一样，比较有效率一点点。那这边的人也通常比较 open-minded， 然后比较可以尊重大家都是独立个体的这个概念，所以我非常喜欢这边的文化。那接下来我比较 detail 一点的介绍就是格罗宁根大学。第一点要讲的就是这边的居住环境跟一些花费。那租屋的部分，刚刚2位都有提到，就是真的要提早找。然后房租的话，如果是 share flat， 就是跟别人一起住共用的话，那可能就是大概400-500，市中心可能会贵一点点，400-500欧元。那如果你是想要住单人的 studio 的话，可能你的 budget 就要拉高到650-700块上下。那当然就是提早找，然后如果有 studio 的话，你可能可以申请房屋补助。那这点的话，网络上可以查到很多的资料。那第二点的话是交通，通常在 Groningen 里面最大宗的交通方式就是骑脚踏车。就这个城市说大不大，就真的不大。它从市中心到就是这个城市的大部分的地方都是脚踏车，大概15分钟至20分钟，最远的地方就可以骑得到的地方。然后如果你是要去其他国家旅游或去其他城市旅游，大部分是搭火车为主，有公车。那去阿姆斯特丹的话，大概是2.5小时的车程。那再来就是食物的部分，这边外食选项是有的，就可能不如阿姆斯特丹或鹿特丹的选项那么多，但是一定是就是还是有很多外食选项。那可能相对便宜一点点，你如果出去外面吃一餐，大概就是10至15欧。然后如果你喝酒什么之类，可能就会大概20欧、20多欧左右。所以大部分的外国学生还是都会自己煮，比较省钱。那我个人觉得，就是这边的超市跟台湾，如果你自己煮的话，花费其实就是稍微小贵一点点，但是没有差到很多。那这边有那种 open market， 这边有一个叫 Bismarck 的地方，就是每个礼拜有2-3天就是那种农夫市集，也会比较便宜一点。那最后就是休闲娱乐的部分，这边就是其实算荷兰蛮有名的 student city， 就是有1/5的人口都是学生，然后有很多国际学生，所以这边其实就夜生活其实也蛮，这个字要怎么用，蓬勃的吗？但是现在因为 Corona 的关系，可能就比较少有开。那大部分的时候休闲娱乐就是可能就是去公园晒太阳啊，或者这边市中心有一个小小的假的海滩这样，或者是就去其他城市旅游。那第二点要讲到的是这边的总体的学习环境。那刚刚2位都有介绍到，就是学校 campus， 就是市中心有，然后在北边有一个叫做 Zerniker Campus 的地方，就是大部分都是教学大楼在那边。那在疫情之下，就是他们的教学方式一直有变动，有时候是可以实体上课，然后有时候疫情比较严重的时候，可能就是会用线上教学的模式。那像我自己现在的上课，就是可能就是像这样有 pre-recorded 的课程，但是还是1个礼拜会有1次的 on campus 的 tutorial， 是让你可以去现场上课的。那这个就是看之后政府的每个时期不一样的corona measure， 然后就会有不一样的教学模式。那第3点要介绍的就是学校有一些资源。那当然每个系所有不同的设施，这些你在网站上或者是追踪他们的 Instagram 就可以看到一些他们内部长怎样，外部长怎样。那刚刚有那个 Marijn 有提到的，就是 Career Service 有非常多的，比如说 workshop 啊、networking event 或者是 company dating 等等的活动都是免费的，然后你就是自己主动积极一点，就有很多机会是可以去使用这些，像就是我在他们 IG 上面看到，他们就是有不同的 skills 的 workshop， 教你怎么找工作等等。那还有一点就是他们其实有很多 learning community， 就是各式各样的读书会，不管你是读什么课程，你都是可以自己去参加的。那像是他们就有 offer 很多不一样的课程啊，像是这边上面就有列一些，然后像我自己我就有上就是 programming in Python 之类的那种课，它大概就是1个礼拜2个小时的时间。那接下来它也有很多 RUG 有很多学生组织，像是 EBF 就是专门让商学院的学生参加的学生组织，然后他们就是也会办很多活动、演讲等等。那么 RUG 是另外一个专门给行销系的学生的学生组织。那这些东西就是你们都可以多参加，1年年费可能就7、8欧，但是有非常多的活动啊、派对等等，可以去多认识，然后去 networking。那再来就是我自己在这边读了1年半的心得，我的系所是 EBF 的 Marketing Analytics and Data Science， 它是行销系下面的一个分支。那它就是同时 cover 到行销，但是它也教了很多就是跟数据分析相关的东西，然后要学 coding， 要学我们主要用的程式语言是 R 跟 SQL， 然后也会学一点点机器学习的东西。那我个人是觉得这边的课业的工作量，就是那个 workload 真的会相较于其他国家，就是跟朋友聊天，或者是甚至是荷兰的其他城市的学校比起来 ，workload 是真的比较重一点。因为他在1个学期，他会把整个学期分成2个 block， 就等于你可能1堂课其实就只会上2个月左右或2个半月左右，然后你这1个 block 里面就会有2到3个报告啊、作业，加上1个考试。但不同的课不一样，就是有的课就是都是报告，有的课只有1个报告1个考试这样。但是像我自己这个学期就有修到1堂课是3个报告加1个考试。但是等于说我几乎每1个半礼拜或2个礼拜我就有一个 deadline 要赶，所以这一点就是如果你要来这边学习的人，我觉得你可以多多去找有经验的人，修过这堂课的人，然后去问一下那个量是你有没有办法接受的。然后再来就是他们这边很注重自主学习，在这边有非常多的课都是老师点到为止，你回去要自己阅读比较多的文献 paper 或者是课本，然后1个礼拜可能会有1堂 tutorial 的时间是让你到现场问教授问题，所以你要自主性比较高一点，比较积极一点，你才可以学到很多东西。那相处模式的话，刚刚有提到，就是可能有些亚洲学生会比较不习惯，是他们会非常的注重老师跟学生之间的互动，就是他们会希望你是可以一直提出你的问题，甚至去质疑他教学的内容，然后就是有讨论，然后他整个上课的气氛是会很活跃的。然后跟同学相处模式也是，就是因为这边的国际学生很多，所以你真的就可以学习到怎么跟不同文化背景的人去相处，然后去合作，去一起做一个 project。然后我觉得这方面是非常非常有趣的。那最后的话就是介绍，就是除了课堂以外，这边也有很多很丰富的活动可以去做。那第一点当然就是有很多学生活动，像是这边最有名的一个叫做开 week， 还有 ESN 他们都有这种 introduction week， 就是新的国际学生来的时候，他们都会有为期1周的这种带你认识城市啊，然后认识新的人，然后就是文化啊，或者是体育日之类，就是为期1周的活动，这个很有趣，可以参加。然后第二个话就是这边有非常非常多的球队或者是运动俱乐部，或者是各式各样的俱乐部。所以你如果是喜欢运动，或者是你之前在大学是有打系队的人，来这边就是像我自己，我有在打排球，我就是加了一个叫做 Proton 的排球队，那就是也是每个礼拜都会有练球跟别的城市的俱乐部打比赛这样。那第3点想要讲的是旅游，就是现在疫情之下可能会比较这件事情比较难实行一点点，但像我之前在 pre-corona 之前交换的那半年，我半年内就大概跑了10个国家，就是机票那些基本上都是蛮便宜，然后蛮方便。但是硕士课程的时候，就是你可能自己要安排时间，因为你的课程会比较紧凑，然后可能1年就是几个礼拜的假，要事先安排。那最后一点我想要讲的是实习，因为我觉得如果你是未来有想要留在当地工作，或者就是 in general 留在欧洲工作的话，就是会鼓励就是可以去找实习的机会，在第2个 semester 的时候，你可以延期半年，然后去做一个6个月的实习。那很多人可能会害怕说，你没有欧洲公民或你不是荷兰人，实习会不会很难找？ 其实没有想象中的那么难，就是你不会讲荷兰文这件事情，可能60%、70%的工作机会你可能就会 miss 掉。可是，一些国际的大公司，他们其实不会那么注重你到底是不是荷兰人这件事情。那像我自己的话，我是从11月开始，我就开始丢履历，然后最后也是有成功拿到3间公司的 offer。所以我觉得，就是这边有很多事情都是，如果你自主性够，然后你愿意花时间去做，你是一定可以找到机会的。然后像我自己，就是我3月的时候就要去阿姆斯特丹的 Adidas 的 headquarter 做6个月的实习。那之后如果有机会的话，再跟大家分享实习的心得。那我的部分大概就是这样。那也会右下角有我的 WhatsApp， 如果真的有问题的话可以问我。但如果是网络上找得到的资料的话，那就麻烦大家自己先网络上做功课，然后有其他问题的话可以问我。那 I think for the QA, maybe we can do it all together. Maybe that'll be better. So I'll give the floor back to Mr. Wu.
Yes, of course.
Totally agree. I think we can also allow students to text us in either Chinese or in English, and I will try to translate. And perhaps it's a good idea for me to ask the participants whether or not, or I should encourage them to ask as many questions as possible. I will do this first in Mandarin. 那个各位在线上的同学，我们现在后面的时间呢，就是要让大家询问问题哦。那今天佑慈他真的是非常辛苦，我前2个礼拜才告诉他的，他马上临危就是受命哦，来为大家做那么精彩的讲解。那他念的有关市场行销的部分，我觉得他方向抓得很棒，在所谓的商业分析还有数据科学这个部分哦。那他刚刚也讲了，到阿姆斯特丹的艾迪达可以去进行半年的实习，我觉得这个对很多人来讲应该都是一个 dream internship， 因为在阿姆斯特丹呢，大家都拼命想进2个品牌啊，一个就是艾迪达，另外一个是 Nike， 啊，我觉得都超级棒的。那有没有在现在在线上的同学，你们大家有没有问题要问这个我的2位同事还有佑慈呢？大家可以开麦克风，如果你觉得打字很花时间的话。好，有同学举手了，你可以直接讲。
喂，听得到吗？喂，请问听得到？那个我想问一下佑慈，因为你说你是在台大的，你不是台大，你之前是去交换去格罗宁根，然后后面很喜欢，所以才去先读了 Pre-Master。那你在 Pre-Master，你大学的时候是就读哪一个系所？跟你在 Pre-Master， 你觉得 Pre-Master 主要的内容大概会是什么样子的
？OK， 我在大学的时候，我是念台北大学的休闲运动管理学系，然后它虽然也是商院的一部分，但是因为我大学的时候没有修研究法，然后我的统计的 credit 的中文学分也不够，所以我拿到了 Pre-Master 的 offer。那这1年的期间的课程内容大概就是统计、数学微积分、研究法，然后其他的课就是针对于你自己要念的那个硕士的专业，然后所以像我可能就有一些行销的课或一些人资的课，那也是1年就是60学分的课。其实我觉得我自己是非常庆幸我有先读这个 Pre-Master， 因为这样真的让我比较熟悉整个 workload 有多重，然后熟悉这边的上课方式，然后对于后面的硕士课程是真的很有帮助的，就是真的会帮你把基础打得很好。希望你有回答到你的问题。
我补充一下玉慈讲的啊，因为那个格罗宁根大学也是可以讲不能讲说少数啦，也是在审查入学的时候都会去核对你在台湾的大学4年所修的各种学分，还有相关的学分数。所以如果说有缺漏的话，那学校当然会请大家念这个 Pre-Master。那我这边再补充的部分就是说，我觉得佑慈他很聪明啊，因为他先去交换， 然后1年的pre-master 只有花2200欧元不到因为他那时候去的话应该是更便宜。接下来他硕士加1年，然后硕士后面他又再加上一个 master internship， 没有错嘛 ，master internship。那这样子念起来的话，他花了总共2年半的时间，我觉得已经变成荷兰通了而且所念的成本相当低廉，因为后面那个 master internship 才花了1000欧元出头就
对，差不多1000多欧。
对啊，我真的觉得他很会精打细算我之前都没有想到说，原来这种方式可以留在荷兰这么久。那我今天晚上算是学到了。那我们现在再把那个问题交给 Stella， 你不是要问问题吗？
柚子你好，然后我这边想请教一下，就是比如说像是在你的，比如说跟你一起学习的同学部分，他们大部分是已经有工作经验的，还是说他们大部分是说就是大学毕业就是直接念 master？ 对，然后另外一个我不确定，因为刚才在那个分享中的时候，其实有提到一个是就是在前面那个在那个business 的那个就是课程中有个 exchange partner in Taiwan， 就是有一些 cooperation 的 college， 然后我想问说，就是这个是 for graduated 的 student， 还是他是正好在这个大学里面就读的学生才能够有这样的一个 master 的一个资格申请这样子？对，就是这2个部分。
我先针对第一个问题回答，我觉得这真的会比较看科系一点。那我自己的科系的话，其实是蛮多学生都是已经有工作经验，像我身边几个比较好的朋友，可能都是27、8岁或甚至30、31岁的都有，但当然也有就是大学直接毕业。然后在欧洲这边蛮 common 的一件事情也是，就是很多学生会大学毕业以后或者是高中毕业的时候，就先去做1年或2年的 gap year 或先工作。所以如果你是担心你来了以后会没有办法融入，或是因为你已经有工作，我觉得这完全不是问题，就是这边的年龄 range 其实真的蛮广的。那第二个问题的话，我其实不是很清楚。
对，因为刚才好像是那个是刚才的女生是 Marijn 吗？还是 Marijn？ 对，然后他有提到，就是说，就是在Groningen 这边有，就是there are several just cooperation partners in Taiwan, like they will have some exam for the students graduate from this college. So I'm not sure it's what's the detail.
我知道你想知道的问题了。那个 Marijn 讲的那个部分是说，因为商学院的入学要求里面有包含 GMAT， 那 GMAT 的部分如果可以豁免的话 ，exempted 的话，就是说你必须是要他们在台湾的姐妹校的学生。那这些姐妹校包含了他在名单上面列的这些学校，就是像台大啦、清华大学啦，然后上面都还有提到，例如说像东吴啦、逢甲啦、元智啦等等，那上面的名单蛮多的。
所以他的意思是说，就是我是这些学校里面的管理学院是吗？
其实按理讲是要商学院的学生，你不能说在他们的姐妹校，然后你去念那个什么人类学系。
OK， 工程之类的。OK， 了解。
其实我跟你说基本上应该是要商学院，因为他们跟这些学校缔结姐妹校的原因，是因为这些学校他们有获得那个世界，就是说这些商学院认证的。那有认证的，他们又是姐妹校的话，就可以豁免。那你如果去念所谓的工程学院的话，这个可能就不行。所以，但是可以去问问看。
好，那我理解了，谢谢柚子啊，谢谢主任，谢谢。
那我们下一位有同学举手是那个 Chloe， 可不可以请你发言？
好，主任好，柚子好。那我想要请问的是，因为我刚刚也有跟前一位同学，就是我其中一个问题有跟前一位同学一样，就是因为我看到我的学校就是福大有在上面，然后但我目前就是只有就是考完了雅思，然后所以我也在想要知道说 GMAT 的这个是有需要考的吗？然后以及就是
你是
是广告传播系。
对，那你有修很多商学院的课， 那广告这个算得上是辅大的商学院里面的课吗？
就是有很多对行销课这样子。
应该是说在分类上是属于商学院的学系吗？
可能还是应该算传播学院。
没有错。那我问一下那个我的同事哈。Hello, Marijn. We have a question from Chloe. Actually, two students asked the same question regarding your GMAT GMAT exemption. Both students studied at your partner universities, but not necessarily, in the business school. However, they have also taken quite a few, let's say, courses from the business school. Can they be exempted from your GMAT requirement?
Yeah, that's actually a good question, because the first step what our admissions office does is that they go through your curriculum from your bachelor program. So this is basically the first step. And they will see if your curriculum from your current bachelor program does match the content of the master program you are interested in. If this is the case, then they consider you for direct admission, and then you may be exempted from the GMAT. But it really depends on, so they will first assess the content of your bachelor degree, and then the GMAT requirement comes in. So if you do meet, if the content of your program is sufficiently matching with the content of the master program you want to apply for, then probably you will be exempted indeed from the GMAT. But if this is not the case, they will refer you to the pre-master anyway. And for the pre-master, we don't have a GMAT requirement. So then the GMAT requirement is basically not relevant anymore. So does this give you an indication of how it works when it comes to GMAT requirement?
Okay, I think that's good to know. Yeah. Okay. 那个Chloe， 刚才你也听到了，如果假设最后的结论是你的申请条件是符合硕士课程的话，那基本上是不需要GMAT。但是如果说就是姐妹校又符合条件的话，就不需要。但是如果你的条件是不符合直接念硕士，然后是要先从硕士先修的话，你也不需要考这个 GMAT。
了解。好，谢谢主任。那我有第二个问题是说，因为我是有在工作了，然后我现在我想问的是说，工作经验对于申请的帮助，就是可能我现在的公司，然后跟我未来想要申请的科系，就是相关性非常高，可能都是 data science， 然后也是国际的，就是可能大家荷兰会知道的公司这样子。那我想说，这个对于申请是有帮助的吗？这样。
Okay, Marijn, the second question from Chloe is that can work experience play a role in her application?
To be fully honest, no. This is in Dutch universities. Usually we don't take work experience into account. Your educational background is leading in your admissibility. So the most important thing is your current bachelor degree or high school degree, are you sufficiently equipped with the right knowledge in order to be successful in the program you are applying for? So work experience is not taking into account for that, but your previous education is the most important part of your application.
I give you some let's say background information, because most Taiwanese students don't want to do a pre-master because they think it's a waste of time. But actually, according to Yu-Tzu, our student speaker, she said she loved pre-master because that kind of program really gives a very good foundation and also preparation for making a good progress into the master's program, especially your master's program is very intense and also very challenging. Yeah. So doing a pre-master actually helps. That's actually the sharing from Yu-Tzu tonight. But I would like to ask our next student who also raised hand already. Sean, 你可不可以问一下你的问题？
嗨，你好。我想问一下，你觉得上这一间大学最大的缺点会是什么？或是就是比较大的缺点会有哪一些？
其实我都看不到缺点呢。
真的？
我为什么这么讲？因为通常大多数的同学都会把说在荷兰北边是不是有点偏远？可是实际上，光这个部分那个柚子今天晚上讲的部分就已经证明那些其实全部是优点。为什么？因为第一个，生活费便宜，因为不是在那个像阿姆斯特丹这种大城市，所以生活费非常便宜。然后而且那个格罗宁根这个城市是可以非常专心在学习上面，而且在过去2年的疫情影响之下，荷兰北边呢其实没有像荷兰的西岸是重灾区，所以原则上生活也很安全。然后再加上你阿姆斯特丹的人口是超过80万人以上，那个人口非常的密集。那如果在2020年疫情发生的时候，你待在那个地方，你应该心里面会担心。可是你到格罗宁根去的话，你骑脚踏车都骑半天都看不到人的情况之下，你应该是非常安全。其实我有点开玩笑了，所以我个人认为说你讲的有没有缺点，我看到的全部是优点。那今天晚上那个柚子他也证明了，他待在格罗宁根。可是他却抢到现在在阿姆斯特丹最热门的实习机会。那你要知道那个什么艾迪达、Nike 可不是普通人可以进得去的。那我看到那么多的同学，连鹿特丹管理学院的同学都不见得可以进得去，所以我觉得他相当了不起。所以我看到的都是优点。然后再加上格罗宁根大学在台湾的姐妹校超过12家以上，知名度很高。那台湾同学在格罗宁根的人数也很多，所以我个人认为都可以获得妥善的照顾，所以我觉得应该是优点了，要不然不会介绍这个大学给大家。那Sean这样有回答你的问题吗？
这样有，谢谢。我还有一个问题，like what kind of students from Taiwan? Like how many students from Taiwan are in this university, and what kind of schools do they come from? Like how many of them are like directly from high school, and how many of them are transfers from college? And if they're from high school, are they from like private international high schools or from local Taiwanese high schools? Yeah.
Maybe I can take this one. Thanks very much, Sean. Firstly, I really like the name Sean. It's the Irish version of my name, John. So, and I'm Irish as well. So nice to answer your question. So as I briefly mentioned in my presentation, we unfortunately don't accept, or let me say it this way, Taiwanese high school is actually not considered by most Dutch universities to be equivalent to the Dutch high school leaving certificate. So unfortunately, it's not sufficient for you to be able to go directly into a bachelor program. So what that means is that you'll need to have something, either something extra or something different to just the Taiwanese high school on its own. So one option, for example, is that it may be possible if you take 3 AP tests. So this is from the American school system. If you have 3 of those, then that can mean that you'll be considered eligible. But generally speaking, it's a bit more of a gray area, and it will be a matter of applying with Taiwanese high school, and then something on top of that in order to bridge the gap that's between the standard Taiwanese high school and the Dutch high school. That means basically that most of our students actually who are coming into bachelor programs directly are coming usually from international schools, or at least with international qualifications. So for example, the IB or the British A-levels or the American APs. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
好，我们下一位是那个子涵哈，你在聊天室也有问，还是说既然你已经举手了，你要不要开麦克风直接问？
主任你好，就是其实我想问的就是跟聊天室差不多，就是想要请教佑慈，就是说在你的了解或者你同学当中，就是大家学习的状况，就是1年制跟2年制的学习状况有什么差别？然后因为我担心就是1年制的话，其实时间偏短，然后担心自己就是一直还没适应，然后会没办法好好的学习这样子。
我想要先问一下，你说的1年制、2年制是指有没有上 pre-master， 还是你是指一般的 master 跟 research master？ 因为他们这边有另外一种是 research master 的话，就是2年制的硕士课程。那
我比较想了解就是research 的那个 master 跟一般的 master。
那这个可能要請 Marijn 或者是 John 来回答，因为我没有修過 research master。Because this girl is like curious about what's the difference between the 1-year and 2-year master program, about the 2-year research master program. So maybe you guys can elaborate a bit.
Yeah, maybe I can give you an idea of that. So there is, of course, a difference. It's an extra year. The reason, so yeah, the kind of standard master programs are 1 year. And that's what you might call a taught program. So for most of it, you're attending classes and that kind of thing. And then at the end of that, you do a big research project. With the research masters, the research project becomes the whole second year. So different faculties manage this in different ways. Marijn perhaps can give an idea of how that works in economics and business. But in, for example, the science and engineering faculty, where all of the master programs are 2 years, they're full research master programs. In the second year there, you will usually most students do an industrial placement and a big research project. So they end their master's degree with experience of both sides of, or the 2 main options, if you like, to go through, whether it's the academic route or the industrial route. But yeah, basically the general answer across all of the faculties is that the second year is actually more research focused. So it's more similar to a PhD actually. But that varies more, the precisely how that looks varies depending on the faculty. I hope that helps. I don't know, Marijn, if you can elaborate for economics and business.
I think you summed it up quite well. I also shared this link to the Research Master in Economics and Business in the chat. But yeah, in general, what we see also from students in the Research Master, they really aspiring a research career. So over 50% is straight after the Master pursuing a PhD, for example. So yeah, it's really basically all our education in the university is research driven, is what we say. But in the research master, there's even a bigger focus on doing research, and it's preparing you for a research career. There's another question in the chat. Is it easy to get into a PhD in engineering after the masters?
Maybe I can take that one.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Marijn.
No, you go.
Sorry. Yes, so particularly with the science and engineering faculty, if you do a master's program with them, then all master's graduates are offered the opportunity of a PhD at the university upon graduation. So yes, is the quick answer. It is easy if you want to stay with our university. Of course, if you want to go to another university, then that's a matter of applying and But with particularly the science and engineering faculty, if you do one of the master's programs, then you'll be offered the opportunity of a PhD, a funded PhD.
好，我们那个有举手的同学稍微等一下哈。 我们在聊天室有一位同学想问柚慈，他想请问你那个在荷兰的他觉得你应该是待了2年半的时间哈，你的那个生活费大概要准备多少呢？啊，你可以解说一下你的 living expenses 吗？
好，其实我前面半年是来交换，那如果是从我来这边念 pre-master 开始到现在，其实差不多是1年半左右。那学费的部分 pre-master 的收费是跟欧盟学生一样，就是2000多欧，所以学费的话 pre-master 的话是非常便宜的。那 living expense 的话，这边是有规定，非欧盟学生的话，在学期开始以前是要缴一笔 guarantee fee， 证明你是有办法在这边，就是你是有财力证明。那这边要求的财力证明，没有记错的话是11000欧一整年。那这个钱是在你学期开始以前就要先汇给 University of Groningen， 然后等你办好你荷兰的户头后才汇给你。那我自己个人是觉得那11000是非常非常够用的，除非就是你会一直跑出国什么什么之类的。但就连我那时候交换，那时候缴5500，我其实也觉得非常非常够用。如果你大部分时间都是自己煮饭的话，像我刚刚讲的，其实跟你在台北自己买自己煮差不了多少。我会说顶多就是1.2倍，绝对不会多于那样。那其他因为交通大部分是骑脚踏车，所以也没有什么交通费，除非你真的很不想要骑车，那可能就搭公车，可能就会比较贵一点，一趟可能2.4还是2.7左右。那火车的话可能会比较贵一点，像这边去阿姆斯特丹单趟应该是17欧，可是网络上有很多便宜的票或者什么单日票那些，就是你可以去找，那就会比较便宜，或者是你有 subscribe 一些 travel plan 的话，就会比较便宜一点。对，所以我自己是觉得我pre-master 那一年的花费，生活费加上学费，我觉得差不多1万出头。
生活费，
差不多真的就是1万出。
那
生活费的话，我11000没有花光我大概可能就是9000块左右一年。
好，那所以就是平均9000就够了。
但是学校会要求你一定是要
有那个学历保证是另外一件事，但实际花费没有这么多。
对，但我自己是比较省一点的人啦，所以就是大家还是要自己衡量一下，就是
好，太好了，我们换那个举手的同学 Claire， 你有举手，请你发问。
好，那个主任您好，然后还有我想要请问一下柚子，就是你是读 Marketing Analytics 跟 Data Science 嘛？那你用 R 跟 SQL 这些程式语言都是在 Pre-Master 课程才学的吗？
好，说实话 Pre-Master 我只有1堂课是真的有学到怎么 coding， Pre-Master 的课比较 general 一点，就是数学统计，但那些真的对你后续你如果是要学 Data Science 的话，统计跟数学是真的非常重要。那我自己本身在来这边念书以前是完全没有半点相关的基础的，就是我真的是来这边从头开始学起。那真的会，尤其是这个硕士课程9月一开始的时候，可能真的会 workload 有一点重，然后你要花比较多的时间自己去上网查很多的资料。对，大致上是这样。然后我硕士很多同学没有上 pre-master 的，也是就是从9月开始从头学起。
OK， 所以都是从头学起，所以就不用担心说，如果之前没有 coding 的基础的话，这应该还好，是吗？
我觉得，你如果可以事前上，比如说 Data Camp 或者是一些 Coursera 之类，先看一点点课程，对于这个东西怎么跑，有一些基础的了解，绝对是有帮助。不然的话，一开始真的会比较累一点点，可是不至于会跟不上，然后学不了。
OK， 那方便问你一下，艾迪达的那个 internship 主要是做什么就是职位嘛？因为你大学的科系算是跟运动有关系嘛，然后不知道在艾迪达是不是也因为这个经历所以有加分这样子？
我觉得可能多多少少有一点加分，因为我大学念的是 sport management 跟 sport marketing。那我在艾迪达的职位是 digital analytics。就是也是做分析的，然后主要就是针对他们的 marketing performance 要跑一些资料分析，然后也是针对比较数据分析的职位。
OK， 那有解答我疑惑。
但我觉得这边其实不太会，就是你来这边硕士以后，我觉得他们不太会针对你的大学经历去做挑剔，因为我也有拿到另外2间公司的 offer 是 Unilever 跟 Philips， 那跟我大学学的东西就也没有关系，所以我觉得真的是看你当下 那个 interview 给对方的感觉，然后你有哪些 skill 你是可以展现出来的话，他们比较注重那些部分。
OK， 谢谢。
Okay, we have another question from Jonathan. Jonathan, it's your turn now.
I have Dutch citizenship. Like I hold a Dutch passport and I also have Taiwanese citizenship. So will my status be a local student or international?
Yeah, so thanks for your question. So I think the most important thing is that, yes, for part of the process at least, it will be very helpful to have the Dutch passport. You do need to have the passport, but then you'll be able to pay the local fees, which are lower than the non-local fees. Also, of course, you won't be invited to make a visa application and things like that. But yeah, otherwise you can be considering yourself however which way you would like. So if you want to apply for a Dutch language, so a course taught in Dutch, that will be a slightly different thing. But of course, many people study in English. Most Dutch people study in English. So that's up to you. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, yeah, we have lots of students from around the world who've lived, either they're Dutch or they're from another European country, and they have dual citizenship. So yeah, you can meet many other interesting people at the university who have different kind of backgrounds. So we think it's a really great thing that enriches the university. And yeah, you're very welcome as a Dutch or an international student, however you want to see it. But yeah, on those crucial kind of practical points, you won't need to apply for a visa. You'll be able to pay the local fees. They're the important things, I guess. And of course, the other thing is you would not be considered Dutch if you don't have, from the entry requirement, confusing perhaps. It's not like as simple as being one or the other. It's a bit of a vague thing, but yeah, I hope that gives you some clarity. And I think this will be, I think if you've already contacted the admissions office, that will be the what they'll explain to you as well.
Yeah, like in my application, they also mentioned something about a residence permit. Will that be necessary, and will the university help with that?
Yeah, so if you were to make an application without putting on it that you had a Dutch passport, then they would be talking about a residence permit. Other students with only Taiwanese citizenship will need a residence permit, and that's something that comes in after you've been admitted, and the university guides you through that process. But if you have a Dutch passport, then that's not something that you would need.
Okay, thanks. I have another question. How do living expenses compare to other cities in the Netherlands, like Amsterdam or Rotterdam?
Sure. Well, it was the case maybe 5 or more years ago that it was quite significantly cheaper to live in Groningen, and I think that's still somewhat the case. But in the country at large, there is a bit of a housing crisis, some might say. So house prices and property prices are going up. And so it can be difficult to find cheaper accommodation in growing cities like ours. So particularly, I would say, around the issue of housing, it can be a very mixed bag. So a range of different experiences from people. So some people find it more difficult to find cheaper accommodation. And that's, as I mentioned in my presentation, the thing that really impacts your overall cost of living. So if you are looking to keep your cost of living overall across your studies, if you're looking to keep it down, then familiarize yourself with the housing situation in the city that you want to study in. If that's our city, that's great, but yeah, you really need to make sure that you're early with your application, that you're aware of how the housing works. So we have some dedicated student accommodation, which is kind of a centralized application. So that's more like kind of student dorms, but that fills up very, very quickly. And then there's a lot of other students kind of trying to find housing. So, and the alternatives can be more expensive. So I'd say to you, but also to everybody here, that that's really something to bear in mind if you're very serious about coming to study anywhere in the Netherlands. But yeah, in certain Dutch cities, it can be more of an issue than in others. So yeah, I hope that's answered your question.
Okay, yeah, just one more quick question. How many physical classes are going on right now? Like, what's the situation with regard to the COVID situation?
Yeah, I at the moment we're offering, so the university is now open. We've just recently opened. Of course, we're hoping that we can be fully open and operating as normal in September, when many of you guys would be joining. But yeah, there's a mixture at the moment, depending on where you're studying in the university. There's a mixture of on-site and online teaching. And perhaps Yu-Tzu can give an overview of her experiences, of what it's been like to be online versus offline. But just before you do that, yeah, the only thing I can say is that we don't really know where we'll be in 6 months' time, or 9 months' time, even until September. So yeah, that's difficult to say what's going to happen. Yeah, Yu-Tzu, do you want to give a little idea of what that's been like?
Yeah, I think it really also depending on the corona situation, because for my program at the moment, it's half-half, where I have all my lectures online, either like online or pre-recorded, but I still got one tutorial per course, of course, one tutorial like on campus one every week. So it's kind of a mix where you also get to go to school and talk to your professors and teaching assistant. But for the lecturing part, most of the time it's online, which I actually like it a little bit more when it's pre-recorded, because then I can rewatch as many times as I want, and I find that pretty useful. So yeah, that's my experience, but I'm really not sure what will it be after 6 months when new semester start. But I think Rugg is now trying to make it happen. So,
and maybe it's good to add that the starting point of the university is always to offer physical education, so on-campus education, unless, of course, regulations don't let us. But as soon as it is possible, if it's safe enough, then we will definitely go back to, as much as possible, to physical and on-campus education. That's always the starting point.
And I would also like to add one comment. You know, for instance, for this winter, all the examinations, you need to go to the campus and to take the examinations. So you cannot do that online. And this is something that the university insisted. OK， 我们下一位那个举手同学是 Sean， 你请问你的问题。
Hi, I have another question. So basically, I'm the course I'm planning to apply for is biology, the bachelor's biology program. And I think we've emailed with the school a couple times, and I know the basic requirements are there are a couple of AP courses that I have to take. And so I guess my question is, if once I've fulfilled all those conditions, what sort of thing do you look for when you read the application? Like basically, what'll make the reviewers say, hey, that's a, you know, that person stands out. We want him at our school.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, like, as a junior in high school right now, what sort of steps should I take to make sure that I should like stand out when I apply to college?
And sorry, which program is it that you're interested in? Because my answer to this question really depends on whether you're applying to a selective or a non-selective program.
Oh yeah, selective.
Biology. Selective. Okay. So the most important things then are, well, really we look at your the recommendation from your school. We look at your grades in part, at least. So people with higher grades are more likely to get in. But I have to say that usually the most important factor for many faculties when they're selecting students is the results of their own selection procedure. So pretty much all the faculties who run selective programs run a selection procedure approximately in February or March, and it varies depending on which faculty. Perhaps Marijn can give a quick idea about what that's like for international business. Usually the most important factor in deciding where a student is maybe around 50% of it is the performance in the selection procedure, and then the other 50% is a mixture of the application. I'd say academic performance in a sort of very general sense is what we're looking for. So we don't have the outlook of many American universities or British universities where you need to have loads and loads of extracurricular activities. Of course, that's not a negative thing at all if you do have that, but I'd say there's more emphasis here in the Netherlands on your academic achievements in the past. And of course, I just say, sorry, go ahead.
No, John, please finish it first.
Yeah, the only other thing I wanted to say was that for those not applying to a selective program, it really is just looking at the courses that you've taken in your high school, and then you'll be given a place. It's only for the small number of selective programs that this applies.
OK， Sean， 我这边给你一个建议哦。其实我们辅导过很多台湾高中生想去荷兰念生物相关，而且是研究型大学，我都会建议先挑选那个应用型大学、生命科学相关的学士先过去，然后有什么不足的话，荷兰当地还有一些生物相关的学测还可以参加，那第2年就可以直接去申请那个研究型大学的生物相关的课程。那我今天晚上就不去介绍这个内容，你有兴趣的话，你可以再 LINE 给我，那我可以再解说给你听。那我不晓得说现在在线上还有没有其他同学还有其他疑问的。如果没有其他同学发问的话，我要先谢谢大家今天晚上的参与。然后我这边先
我再问一个问题。Yeah, so one more quick question. So I know that the school doesn't require SATs, but I just want to know if it's like completely disregarded, or is it like just something that could help or anything like that? Yeah.
We don't. The quick answer is no. I don't think they would make a difference. The most important thing is APs. We need 3 APs. If you have additional SATs, then that's great, but it won't. If you're applying to a selective program, then it would be worthwhile to keep it on. But the only thing that's going to tip you over the eligible, not eligible thing would be APs. So
Okay.
I just also want to add, sorry, that Marijn has to leave us now. Sorry. So maybe you could say a quick goodbye, Marijn.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I didn't expect it. No, but thanks a lot, everyone, for attending. And again, if you do have any questions, please get in touch with us. It was a joy to meet you online. And I hope to meet you maybe once again when you're in Groningen.
Okay, Marijn, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Duo. Also, thank you to you, Yu-Tzu, and John, of course. Hope to see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
好，那个 那个 Sean， 总而言之哈 ，SAT 在全荷兰的研究型大学都不接受。那2条路可以走，刚刚 John 说了，我也跟你说了，所以说如果后面有什么问题的话，欢迎你再来问我。那我今天要谢谢所有在线上的同学啊，你们待了那么久，真的非常感谢你们，也要祝你们虎年哈那个平安愉快，然后万事如意。我这边也要I would also like to thank John and also Yu-Tzu. Thank you very much for sacrificing your weekend to share so many useful information with us. And I would also like to take this opportunity to wish both of you all the best for the year of the tiger.
Thank you very much. And yeah, it was no sacrifice at all. It was a pleasure to meet you all and to be able to introduce you to the university. And thank you all for coming. And yeah, as Marijn said just now, we are looking forward to welcoming you here in Groningen.
OK， Yu-Tzu，谢谢你了。
对，谢谢。Yeah, thank you for having me. Like
好，那等你实习完毕之后再找你。
好 ，OK， OK。
OK， thank you very much. Bye bye.